Hello, I'm Edith Leedy, and I am doing this vlog on nutrition and body composition. For this project, I have several references, including our textbook and a slide player presentation by a woman named Bethany West, and also a YouTube presentation from a nutritionist named Joe Leach. For the nutritional side of it, there is some very important information that was brought out in our Lifetime Physical Fitness and Wellness textbook regarding how to have nutrition for a lifetime of healthy living. In that, they referred to a dietary pattern that included whole fruits and a variety of vegetables, grains, with at least 50% of that being whole grains, low-fat dairy products, a variety of lean protein choices, including legumes and nuts and seeds and soy products and lean meats and seafood, and to limit processed foods, saturated fats, trans fats, added sugar, sodium, and alcohol. And quite frankly, if you're trying to cut out the saturated and trans fats and the added sugar and sodium, if you cut out processed foods, you're going to cut out a lot of that. So sticking with whole foods is your better option. As far as the body composition assessment goes, I selected, of the several choices that were given, I selected the girth option as the best one for the average client. And the reason that I selected that is because it's so simple for someone to be able to do themselves, and it takes almost nothing. It's just a measuring tape and the guidelines to be able to figure out where you are. It's a simple process, and any client that is really focused on trying to eat properly, trying to exercise properly, and wanting to get the results that they want, this is going to be a good option for them. There are some less affordable options out there, and they are discussed in our textbook as well. But the reality is that the average client is not going to have those higher end options available for them, and this is something that they will have. The type of client that is going to want this is just your average everyday type person who just wants to be healthy and they want to get in shape. The biggest drawback that we have to the standards that we have had forever, that being the scale and BMI, body mass index, the biggest drawbacks to those is that neither one of them really shows you what your body composition truly is. And without that, it can be a very frustrating process. What happens is we jump on the scale and we see our weight going up, when what is happening is that our body is creating more muscle mass, and that weighs more than fat. And so with that, we see that scale rise and get frustrated and not want to do anything with that. So the best thing to do is to go with something like a body composition type of situation where you can measure not just your weight and not just your BMI, but actually where you stand as far as your body composition goes. How much lean weight do you really have? That breaks things up into a variety of different things. As far as like fat and that type of thing goes, there's different options that are there. You have your muscle fat, your essential fat, your storage fat, your bone fat, and the rest of the other composition of fat that your body will have. And if you don't know how to assess that, and you don't know how to calculate that, it can lead you into a disaster. So proper girth assessment is going to take measuring in a variety of areas. Depending on whether you're a man or a woman, it's going to be different. And women are measured by centimeters, men are measured by inches, so that's going to be a difference as well. You are going to look at where you are, what your final number is going to be, and then you're going to watch that at least once a month, going through and remeasuring and doing it on a consistent basis, making sure that you do it at the same time of day with the same person who's going to be measuring you, so that those will be as close to accurate as you can get. The problem that happens with so many of us is that we get frustrated with the results. We start to plateau. We have all kinds of things that can derail us. Several years ago, on a flight from Virginia to Arizona, there was a man sitting next to me who struck up a conversation with me. Before I talk about that conversation, though, I do want to pull one piece of scripture out from Proverbs 4:25. This is from the New American Standard Version. It says, "Let your eyes look directly ahead and let your gaze be fixed straight in front of you." And the reason that this scripture is important is because that man that I spoke to for over 4 hours while we were doing this trip was a retired brigadier general in the Air Force. Now, he had been forced to retire because as a brigadier general, you can stay in that position no more than 5 years, and even less if you've been in the military for a while, because you can only be a brigadier general and be in the military for 30 years. So he completed his 30 years. He actually had to retire in less than 5 years because he had spent so much time in the military prior. But in that experience, he spent a lot of time with pilots who were training in the simulators. And what he found was very fascinating to me. And I have used this story in many different scenarios in our ministry and that type of thing. So, and it would fit perfectly with a client who was frustrated and wanting to give up on the whole thing. You know, they're not seeing results that they want to see, and they're frustrated. So I would tell this story. When pilots are in the simulators, they will predominantly do very, very well until they reach a point in their training where they have to land the plane in chaos. There are bombs going off, there are rockets being launched, there is chaos all around them. Their instruction is to land the plane in all of that chaos, wait while people board, and then take off again. And all the time that they're trying to do this, there are the bombs going off and everything else. What will happen in the first stages of this training is that the pilot will crash, and they will crash, and they will crash, until they begin to realize that the runway itself is not being targeted. They are not being targeted. It is the chaos of everything around them that is the problem. So when they concentrate on the runway and not on the chaos, they can safely land, wait for their passengers, and safely take off again. It takes time for them to redirect their thinking and redirect their fear to where it really needs to lie. When you have a client who is wanting to completely give up, wanting to completely derail, what they're focused on is the chaos. They're focused on all of the things that are a problem. They are focused on the things that they are not doing. The runway is their goal. The runway is still there. It's still present. It's still completely attainable. But in order to reach it and in order to be able to get there, they have to push aside all of the chaos, all of the things that are trying to derail them. Their thought processes have to be flipped, and they have to be told it's okay. You're gonna face this kind of thing. You're gonna hit some bumps, you're gonna hit some plateaus. Those things are gonna happen. It's okay. You're doing great. Look how far you've come. Here's where you were, here's where you are now. This is where we want to be, and if that's the case, we have to keep going. We have to keep moving. And Proverbs 4:25 telling us to keep our eyes straight ahead, to keep it fixed in front of us, is a perfect scripture to go with this line of thinking of don't give up, don't let the things that are in the peripheral become your problem. Stay focused, stay doing your nutritional plan, stay doing your workouts. It's all going to work out. Thanks so much. I do this. Are you sure? No, I do not. I would like to save it. Okay, what do I do? How do I do this? Oh, bring that back up.